It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your grand reveal in Sherman Oaks. Wow, wow, wow. I can't even begin to start telling you all what fun we had with Lonnie and Ken here in Sherman Oaks, creating this incredible little dreamscape. Our gentleman client works later in the evening, so he hasn't really been able to see it during the day when it's light out. And we were here last night checking the lights after dark, and he had his little camera flashlight, and he's just oohing and awing over everything. And he said, it's like an enchanted forest. He was so sweet and kind, despite the fact that we still don't have the top dressing down and, you know, there was still finished work to do. He was still already so thrilled. I am so thrilled. This is what happens when I'm given enough money to buy lots of killer plants. So, you know, I mean, some of these things will grow on their own, obviously. You know, I don't spend a lot of money on certain things that I know in 6 months to a year will be, you know, gigantic, like the mangaves, for example. We can put those in a little smaller. But the collectibles, that's what I really want to offer, if you'll let me. The multi-headed yucca from Jones Rare Roots. Matt Jones travels far and wide and curates the most incredible things. This incredible blue barrel colony is, there aren't even words. I mean, that magnificent Aloramicissima, this dichotoma from Western Cactus, the spiral, right? I'm sorry, I'm just like all over. I'm so excited, but look at how tight that spiral is. It's so gorgeous. So gorgeous. I had spent a lot on tapestry too, because this is a garden that I wanted to blow out, not only, you know, to put in all the collectible things, but also to blow out in tapestry. I'm so excited for you guys to see this one mature. The tropical area over here is also just so beautiful. This is the shady spot in the yard. So, you know, we popped in Tom Jesh's special curated bromeliads. The Pachypodium is another stunning specimen curated by Matt Jones. The variegated tenuata came from my clone in my yard. There's just so much depth here. You know, this, you know, the little pots here I staged mainly in aloes. Our client is still a little new to succulents and, you know, feeling a little overwhelmed, as you can imagine, by all of these plants, and I wanted to keep it as carefree as possible. So in the pots, I did things that are really, for the most part, tough and bulletproof. You know, less is more, in other words. We have the little brushstrokes of Talavera. She and her husband were both had ideas, you know, they wanted to be energized, they wanted to be reflective, they wanted the garden to feel like a meditation, they wanted all the things. And I hope that this conveys. I hope it conveys. I'm very inspired out here. I don't even know where to look first. There's just so much to see and so much to appreciate. And this is a fairly small yard. Look at how much we can do, even in a tiny little space. We have our meditative corner over there with those fantastic Adirondack chairs. It's so important to be able to sit out in your garden too, because you get a completely different perspective from a seated position than from a standing one. We Greg installed beautiful lights. We've got spots, we've got pathway, we've got well lights. Just absolutely beautiful job there. I wasn't really sure about this crepe myrtle, and I even asked the client if we could get rid of it. They declined. They like their crepe myrtle, which is fine. You know, I thought, okay, fine. You know, maybe in a couple of years they'll be ready to let it go. But honestly, doesn't it work? It does. It's beautiful. I mean, it really does work. I had wanted to put this aloe medusa in that spot, and maybe someday I will, but that day doesn't have to be today. this, you know, it's just like everything that I brought just fits so seamlessly into this yard. The trigona is perfect right there in the corner next to the shed. I've got a little bit of garden art. These are the Bicarnia recurvatas from my yard. And then we moved her bird bath, the cast iron, from the center of the yard. She wanted to keep the sight line open from their master bedroom. So I just moved it back here to this, what feels, you know, very much like a meditative kind of corner too. A little pro tip on, if you have Petalanthus bracteatus, this was the one, again, from my yard. This is the one I had in the pot by the air conditioning unit. And I popped it out of the pot a few weeks ago. And I didn't want it to be too heavy to transport it here, so I let it dry out. And that's what happens when you let a Petalanthus dry out. If the weather's warm enough, and it is, and by warm enough I mean, you know, significantly above freezing, feel free to water. Water. And this thing will reward that effort with leaves and flowers in practically no time at all. The guys did such a magnificent job too of laying this beautiful flagstone path. We put down weed barrier, well, first we leveled, then we put down weed barrier fabric. Then they meticulously staged all of these stones. Then we poured in stabilized decomposed granite, leveled each stone to create this beautiful organic patio.
This art?
Oh yes, this, I don't usually buy art for clients because, you know, it's personal and it's none of my business what their taste is. But I was at Planter's Paradise in El Cajon getting the Talavera pots, and I saw this butterfly heart, and I just thought Lonnie would really like it. And it turns out that she and her husband love it, and it just carries some symbolic value to them. They were just extremely drawn to it. So I'm just thrilled that I nailed that, because it's always kind of a gamble, like I said. What else do we need to look at, Hannah Margaret?
Did you use different rock?
Yes, thank you. Yes, the top dressing. So Lonnie said to me, you know, I'm not really a black lava girl, because, you know, I generally top dress, do my third layer with the lava rock. And she wasn't, you know, really thinking she wanted a lot of black, you know, rock. And so I thought, okay, well, all right, what else can I use? Now, I was inspired by these glacier boulders to bring in some of the glacier chips and use that as my third element instead of the lava rock. Also brought in the little La Paz pebbles. Now, I hadn't intended to use a lot of the La Paz at all. And I was just inspired when I was here. I thought it would just really set off the tropical area. And then I thought, well, gosh, you know, how about anchoring our flying pig and our dichotoma over here too, with just a little brush stroke of black. And then I ended up just doing the jade chips in one spot. And I stepped back and I thought, you know what, that is enough. Any more I felt like would have been too much, if that's possible. I don't, you know me. Also, we have borrowed landscape. We've got a Chinese elm, and we've got a black walnut, and, you know, lots of detritus that will fall in this back part of the yard. So that was another reason why I didn't want to go too intricate with the layering of the rock, because our client's going to have her hands full just keeping the leaves out as it is. I didn't want to discourage her right out of the gate with trying to pick little leaves out of all of the you know, intricate rock. So that was the method behind my madness there. Oh my gosh, these are wet. I was going to sit down. I'm glad I didn't. The guys rinsed them. Also, the Calliandra. Those were put in by Moon Nurseries, and the client was really struggling over how to kind of conceal their neighbor's situation. And I had suggested maybe going with trellising like they have on this fence back here, but they wanted to go ahead and soften up the wall. And they have beautiful Calliandra in the front. So I'm totally here for this. I'm starting to become a lot more open-minded regarding mixed medium landscapes. It's not that I don't like other kinds of plants besides cactus and succulents. It's just really important that they're compatible. And oftentimes traditional perennials are messy. I'm not here for that. So that's why I can be kind of hard-nosed about bringing in other things. But I am, I am becoming a lot more open-minded because the effect is really, really beautiful to have different types of plants in a garden setting. When this wisteria takes off in the corner over here, I'm going to lose my mind. I can't even. It's going to be insane. So, I guess that's it for me for now. Oh, this top dressing rock too. We kind of went back to our roots. This is Cali Gold 3/4. I've been using so much chamois beige, but I felt like Cali Gold. Like this is a garden where I really wanted that energetic pop.
Brown, green, yellow.
Yeah, brown, green, yellow, brown, green, yellow. So it's just really depend on borrowed landscape, fencing, walls, house color. There's just a lot of variables that go into making those decisions. But yeah, I'm absolutely, as you can tell, thrilled with how this turned out, and I can't wait to take you on a journey next week when we come back up here up north. We're going to be doing a maintenance. Remember the Fullerton job? That was the first time I met Matt from Jones Rare Roots, and I got the first Yucca rostrata multi. I went into that garden. So it's been a year. Happy anniversary, Matt. And we're going to go in and take a look and see how that garden has matured over the last 365 days. So until then, thank you all for following, for subscribing, and for sharing these videos with your garden loving friends. Bye, guys.